So thank you everyone for joining in today. Very pleased to host today's ASPIRE55 webinar talk show, Changing Mindsets, Changing Lives. ASPIRE55 will bring you interviews with fellow Singaporeans who are passionate and active in ideas that will change the future of how we age. So today we're very pleased to have with us the founder of One Kind Block, Dylan So, who will share with us the future of sustainable farming in Singapore and his 17-year-old dream to make cities fertile. Dylan has started this wonderful initiative since he was 12. And he's also brainstormed a lot with his dad, and they've come up with a new concept that will really wow you with this new green initiative. And we hope that after you've viewed today's webinar, you will support the cause as well. There is a Kickstarter campaign in which it's a fundraising campaign available on the Kickstarter website. We'll share the link shortly. And on this site, you can support the One Kind Block move to make farming accessible for everybody. So over here, we have with us Dylan, who would like to ask the very first question today. Tell us about your background, Dylan.
Okay, just quickly, that was a solid introduction. I couldn't have done better.
Thank you.
About my background, I mean, I'm Singaporean. I've been studying in ACS. I went to ACS Barker. And then I now study in Finland in an international school. There are certain things I did in my life, like at 12, I gave a TEDx talk on a book that I published with my dad. And there are a lot of things. In 2016, I launched a Kickstarter project before the One Kind Block called the GIY Stick, the Grow It Yourself Stick. And then I had an internship in Finland at 15 in 2017 with the co-creator of Angry Birds and his company.
Oh, wow.
And that.
Hello, we lost you in the audio earlier. I think the last one or two sentences, we lost the audio stream. Can you repeat that? Hello? You're on mute. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I never used Apple before.
No problem.
No, yeah, I guess that's my whole background. I don't know how to describe it.
So for those of you who have just joined us, Dylan is 17 years old now. He's started at a tender age of 12 years old in his entrepreneurship journey to help to promote sustainable farming. And his vision is really to have a dream to make all cities fertile. And from talking to Dylan, it's really not about trying to I guess it's not about trying to wait for big organizations and corporates and governments to take the lead. It's really about from every one of us, what is the small bit of effort that each of us can do tomorrow in order to make our cities more fertile. So I want to ask you, Dylan, what happened at 12 in this journey to creating One Kind Block, and what is One Kind Block?
Okay, so at 12, like I mentioned, I did that TEDx talk at NUS about the book I published, The Big Red Dot. And, you know, we sold some books there, and some of the proceeds went into making my first Kickstarter project. So the vision back then is the same vision as now, which is to make cities fertile, okay? And the GIY stick is basically you recycle your bottle, you recycle a piece of cloth, it will automatically water your plant, okay?
Yeah.
So we thought to make cities fertile, you convince people who haven't farmed before, you solve overwatering or underwatering their plant, and then maybe they get more confidence in growing stuff, and more people grow stuff, and you know, that's great. But that's only for people who farm already in apartments and with soil. So from there we had to start prototyping and think, you know, what really makes cities fertile. To make cities fertile, you need to make apartments fertile. How do you make apartments fertile? Because there's so many. So we started prototyping making a hydroponic unit. It had to be hydroponic because it's foolproof. It had to be modular because it should be the product adapting to your apartment, not your apartment adapting to the hydroponic system. And you know, it had to really be modular and be almost Lego-like and adapt to any household. And then after a couple prototypes with like PVC pipes and simple fish tank pumps to circulate water, we narrowed it down. We made it vertical. We made it detachable blocks, and we're creating an ecosystem of one-kind blocks that will adapt to your apartment. And that's how the one-kind block came about.
Can you show us what is one-kind block? Because we're all curious. What exactly is this?
Yeah. So here, each of these are three individual blocks, and each block has 2 plants growing on it. So some of the stuff we have here, we have mint. The red one is watercress. We have sawtooth coriander, some Mexican tarragon, chives. This is lavender, and then kailan.
Oh wow! So this is 3 different blocks put together, and
Yeah.
does it all come with this design, or do you paste on the design on top of it?
Yeah, this is a
can you tell us
design.
each element?
Yeah, this is a pasted design just because we want to launch this with some stickers as well. Just because it looks nice as it is as a gray block, but some people who want their apartment to look nice as well. If you put this on your dining table, right? So you have some nice stickers. We can't make the blocks colored because of sunlight. Okay, so let's say this was white or transparent. You put this in the sun and the UV rays penetrate. What happens is algae will grow because of the chemicals, your hydroponic solution inside, and the sunlight. And then that's not very nice.
Okay. So what does the original block look like? What does the empty block look like? This looks like something you've already spent a lot of effort in. If I were to buy one-kind block and bring it home, where do I start? Can you
if you were to buy one-kind block, it would look like this. So these are the 3 separate blocks which can connect like this. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can see, but kind of like this.
And I hope the audience can see. Can you describe every single component? I mean, we're so curious. It looks like Lego.
Yeah. Basically, it's Lego. It looks like Lego because it has to stop torsional twist. So when you put it together, it doesn't twist from side to side. When you attach 3 of them and attach it to your railing or your balcony, it doesn't sag and break like this. So that's why it's shaped with 4 separate sort of securing points. And then one bit at the bottom is the part which connects all the blocks together. So if you have 3 of these and you attach it to your balcony or whatever railing, you fill up 1 block to fill up the rest. And then you just put in your simple, I have them here. You put in your simple containers with the sponge, and then you put in your seeds or your plants.
So does it come with the containers and the sponge?
Yeah. So 3 blocks and 6 containers and 6 sponges as well.
And how long can I expect to have my mint sprout up?
What's
your experience so far?
Wow, what's my experience? Well, none of them have died, which is very good. And like you can see, we grow kailan and stuff, sawtooth coriander. So it's not like you can only grow small herbs like mint or basil. You can grow proper plants. We've grown kangkong, we've grown chives over here, kailan, spinach as well. All of them are.
So so you are growing it in your house right now?
Yeah, and in my grandmother's house. I don't know if you know about one-kind house, which is we basically took my grandma's house and we turned it into a 21st century kampong.
Oh, where is that? I mean, we've not heard about it. Tell us. I don't think the audience has heard about it. Maybe you can tell us more.
So that is in Lorong J near Katong in the East Coast. in the Telok Kurau area, which used to be a kampong, and she grew up there. And the house is there, and it has a completely self-sustaining urban farm. And for her, she gets to do cooking classes and private dinners as an Airbnb experience.
Ah, wonderful. And is there a Facebook link that you can share with us as well?
Yes,
We
there
would like
is.
to find out a little bit more about this One Kind house. And let's not all swarm there tomorrow. We're still on circuit breaker. I'm sure
Yeah.
we can go onto the website to take a look. What does your grandma think about this concept? And when you first told her, what was that first conversation like when you told grandma, I want to turn your house into One Kind house?
Reluctant as always, because she was a civil servant for her whole life. She was a teacher for 40 years. Okay, and she grew stuff occasionally in her garden, and she cooked a lot of food. And when she retired, she was just sitting at home, watching TV, watching Korean drama. So we wanted to give her, purpose and connect all the things that she loves to do. So gardening, okay, we made a self-sustaining farm. She loves to teach and she loves to cook. So combining the three things, we can do farm to table, cooking class, private dinners, and it just so happened that Airbnb was coming to Singapore in 2016, which is when we started. And she was a bit reluctant at first, but she tried it out and now she loves it.
Wow, no, it sounds like you've changed her retiree lifestyle completely with this new concept.
Because retirement shouldn't be watching K-drama all the time. Not saying you can't. But it's good that she has passion again. And now when she wakes up, she goes to the park. Not right now because it's circuit breaker, but she goes to the park and she does her qigong. And then she goes into the house. She makes herbal tea with the butterfly pea flowers. And she's energetic. She's a lot. She's on the ball, like very quick.
Yeah. So what's your advice for older people out there who are retiring? What should they, what kind of inspiration can they take from your grandma? What would you like to tell all the older people out there?
Wow. All the old people, I don't know. All the old people have their own old people things.
What's old people things?
Well, I don't know what they're into. It worked for my grandma because we combine the things we love. So maybe that's the principle that they would need to follow. She gets to talk with a lot of young people as well, because a lot of young people come to her classes, and that keeps her sort of young at heart as well.
Great. So let's talk more about One Kind Block. And you mentioned your dad in this journey as well. And throughout the last few years, what has your dad's role been in developing One Kind Block?
He has been the one that well, it started off as our project. Now it's my project. So throughout the prototyping stages, he was helping with the design, helping talk to people, because again, I was 12 and now I'm 17. I can do it more on my own, but he was helping on that side. And he's a businessman. So he's guiding me in that aspect as well on Kickstarter. How to create ads for Facebook, he's helping me with that as well. And of course, he had to help me develop the idea along the way.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. So you sound like you have a very good relationship with your dad.
Yeah, he would say so. It's debatable. We still get arguments all the time.
So what's I guess what do the rest of your family members think about One Kind Block and your friends? Do you have any challenges when you talk to people about One Kind Block? Has everybody been very supportive and they go for it? You should start your own entrepreneurship journey. You should start One Kind Block. Or have you had any challenges along the way?
Oh, that's a lot to answer. No,
Take your time.
no, there haven't been any major challenges other than coming up with this idea and putting it on Kickstarter during this coronavirus outbreak,
Yep.
which wasn't the ideal thing. We planned to launch in March, and then I was still in Finland. We actually planned to launch while I was in Finland, and the virus sent me back here, and things didn't go as planned, so we had to adapt, and we had to launch our Kickstarter. In terms of the reception, I think there's a growing need. People are starting to see a need to grow their own food, and be partially food independent as well. Because now you go to the supermarket, you may not have the vegetables that you always thought you would. So the one kind block also gives you food independence, and people hopefully see the need to start growing their own food in their apartments now, because it is possible.
So how much of your food right now is grown in your apartment?
80%. 80%.
Can you tell us, describe the items? Yep.
Yeah, so right here we have a rooftop farm. We have mainly vegetables like spinach and kangkong. What else? Lettuce, sweet potato leaves, the kind which are really easy to cut and stir fry. And then in one kind house, which is only 5 minutes from here, that's where we have to go to get the heftier stuff: papayas, Spanish spinach, Tuscan spinach. We have lemon trees there. So if we want to try more hardcore dishes, we have to get our stuff from the garden.
Yeah, we'll all have to move closer to Dylan's house in future as we age, so that we can get more vegetables before we start learning to plant our own. How about in an average apartment in Singapore? Most people live in flats and smaller style apartments. Is it possible for someone to be able to grow enough vegetables for themselves in a small apartment? What do you think? How many blocks would I need?
Definitely. For one person, about 1 or 2 blocks is enough, depending how much you want to eat. And if you harvest one plant every 2 or 3 days, you can be 30 to 50% sufficient on food independent. Okay, assuming you eat around 100 to 200 grams of vegetables a day. In terms of families, assuming I would then assume you have a bigger apartment, maybe you grow in soil. If not, the one kind block is still a viable option, but you would need more of them.
Okay, and in this process of one kind block, what's the maximum number of one kind blocks that you can link in one place? Is it just
as many as you
right?
want? It's 3 in a set. It's as many as you want until you get tired of filling up the containers.
and for those audience who have come in late, can you show the one kind block again with your? Some of the audience came in late, so let's show it to them again.
Sure. This is the one kind block. Yes. So this is what you get in one set: 3 individual blocks. These ones have stickers on it. There's kailan, Mexican tarragon, chives, watercress, sawtooth coriander, and mint.
And how long do you take to grow this particular bunch?
These have been growing for about 2 months now. The kailan was
that's pretty fast.
It's quite fast. The kailan has been in here for maybe 3 months because it's bigger. And we have a couple of these sets, but this is the only one we have here right now. So to answer your question, you can attach as many as your balcony can hold. Because you only need to fill up one block to fill up the rest. So if you have 18 blocks all connected, it will take a long time. So maybe you do
what do you mean by filling up one block to fill up the rest? You only need to fill up one block to fill up the rest. Can you elaborate? Because we're all not farmers here. We've never done gardening, and we've never tried something so Lego looking in farming before. So please explain to us.
So no, it's all connected with a pipe at the bottom, right? So all the blocks are connected by water. So when you fill up one, the other two will fill up naturally, and you get to, so all the blocks are at equal level of water.
How do you put the water in?
You pour it in just to the top, and the hatch actually comes out. Let me just take these out. Hatch actually opens up. You fill it up with water. You close it.
Okay.
You put in the containers and your plants.
How often do I have to change the water?
Until your plants use up the water. It depends on the plants that you grow.
Okay. And does it need sunlight? Yeah.
As with any plant, it needs sunlight. The Singapore sun is very strong. So maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. This material is ABS plastic, so it's also UV resistant. So it can withstand being in the sun.
Can anyone copy?
And there's stuff we'll be doing in the future that people won't be able to copy. They won't be able to copy my story, coming up with the DIY stick, coming up with the one-kind block. It's also all made in Singapore, so it's a made in Singapore story. And we are also developing an ecosystem of one-kind blocks. So corner blocks, blocks with grow lights, solar power pump blocks, which will come out when my project is fully funded.
How do you manage to do all this and juggling school at the same time?
Oh, I don't do school. I never do my homework. That's how. No,
so
I think
Dylan, you were studying in ACS, right? And then you went over to Finland International School in Finland, right? That's in Finland. Can you share like what made you choose to study in Finland?
It was more Finland chose me. So I did that TEDx talk in 2015, and then in 2017 I met. In 2016 I spoke at Slush, which is a tech event that happened in Singapore, and I met the co-creator for Angry Birds, Peter Westerbacka. Yeah. And you know, he saw the talk and said, in exchange for launching his game in Singapore, he would give me an internship at his company in Finland instead of paying me a speaker's fee, right?
Okay.
So I went up to Finland in 2017 as a favor to find out more about Finland. He got us to tour some local schools, speak to some of the teachers associations and the Ministry of Education. And fast forward another year in 2018, I was doing my O-levels, and I met some of the Finnish people, and we suggested an exchange program. And I finished my O-levels, and lo and behold, yeah, I got an invitation to go to Finland.
Awesome. So, you know, are you going to be studying there in the long term, finishing up your master's there, or do you think you'll be returning here?
I have no idea. I have to come back for NS, of course, when I finish school next year. But I don't know. I could continue there. I could continue here. I have no idea what I want to do in life yet, and I think 17 is a bit young to decide that. But I imagine it would be something like the one-kind block, which is coming up with an idea with a group of friends to solve a problem.
Yeah. Well, one-kind block is a very creative idea to solve a very important need today. And facing with climate change, sustainable farming is definitely on everybody's agenda. But personally, I've always found it a bit hard. I don't have green thumbs, so I'm going to try out one-kind block in my apartment to see if I can grow something. I think it's a really interesting concept. Yeah, and you know, in your experience between Singapore and Finland, how do you see the difference in culture, and how do people receive one-kind block? What's your observations?
I think one-kind block is not. First of all, one-kind block is not limited to this tropical climate. But Finland gets to negative temperatures in the winter, negative 20 degrees. So the one-kind block has to be a bit warm you can't have it on your balcony because it's negative.
Yep.
Reception here has been a bit better because it's a Singapore story. We haven't really marketed it in Finland. That's all.
Yep.
In terms of the culture you are asking, the Finnish people are a bit more open than Singaporeans, I would say. In public, they're a bit more reserved, but once you get talking to them and they open up or get them drunk and they open up, then they're very nice people.
Of course, I love Finland too. I've been to Finland twice, and with my other company, Aging Asia, we do work with many of the Finnish companies and the Finnish embassies. I have some questions here from the chat and the audience.
Oh,
they are now
okay.
very interested on where to get One Kind Block. Can you explain to us the Kickstarter campaign and what it's trying to achieve, and how can we eventually end up owning a One Kind Block? How can we make this a reality?
Yeah, so the One Kind Block is live on Kickstarter now. I don't know if you can put the link in the chat for them. But basically, it needs to hit certain funding in order for me to produce the One Kind Block and send it to everyone who wants one.
Can you lift up the One Kind Block again? Yeah.
The One Kind Block, yes.
Yes. So I mean, with many of us haven't heard in the audience, maybe they haven't heard about Kickstarter before. They're not sure what is this platform and what it means to contribute money to this, and what happens if the project doesn't happen, or what happens when the project is successful.
Okay, so Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform, but it's also a global idea validation platform. Okay, so if you go to Kickstarter with something like this, farming kit to make cities fertile, you put the idea out there, you have to create a campaign video and campaign text, and explain your whole story and how you came to this point. And if people believe in that story and they support that story, they can give you money for like different choices, and each of these choices you get One Kind Blocks and stuff like that. You get to create these sort of rewards.
Okay, great. So if you're interested, you can all go to the Kickstarter website and to support this, so that we can help Dylan to make his dream a reality, and for all of us to eventually be able to purchase to have One Kind Block in our apartments. We have a question here. Is the plant solution, is there any chemicals? Are there any nutritional advantages or disadvantages over soil-based plants? Can you describe to us, when we get a One Kind Block, what happens? Like what comes with it, and what is that plant solution or soil that we have?
Yeah, maybe I can answer the question directly.
Yeah.
But yes, in any hydroponic system, you need plant solution. So for plants, there are three main elements: NPK, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Okay, and these are the three elements that support plant growth, leaf growth, root growth, and everything. So yeah, they are all chemicals. Compared to soil, soil has a bit more trace elements. They also have it also has insects, worms. If you're growing in the ground, there are a lot of worms, and all of that is natural. Is a natural ecosystem that gives other trace elements to your plants. So like carbon and the other trace elements in soil. Is there any nutritional advantages or disadvantages over soil-based plants? I think with the One Kind Block, you can't grow stuff like papayas and mangoes. Those kinds of stuff needs a lot of nutrition from the ground, and that's why it can only be grown in soil. But for stuff like this, like on here, we have kailan, sawtooth coriander, Mexican tarragon, mint, and watercress. This kind of stuff can survive off hydroponic solution alone, and it has to be all chemical.
Yeah, so there's water that's inside the One Kind Block, right? And
right now, yeah.
Many people are concerned about dengue and mosquitoes. What's your response to that?
Oh, don't be concerned. It's all it's a sealed system, so there's no way mosquitoes can get in. And even if they do, which they won't, they don't generally lay eggs in hydroponic solution just because of the chemicals.
Okay, great. And how about the seeds? I've seen the one that you had, that 2-month-old one-kind block with all the nice plants and kailan all grown inside. Where do we get the seeds to plant it? Is it regular seeds or special seeds?
Regular seeds. I don't think there's such a thing as special seeds.
Yeah, like are you going to sell seeds as well? Are you going to have one-kind block seeds?
No, because we've gotten that question before. Why don't we sell seeds and hydroponic solution as well? Aside from the shipping, it's very inconvenient to ship liquid as well. We would rather you do your own research and you went to your local nursery and got advice from them and got the seeds and the hydroponic solution that will suit you based on your local nursery.
Well, I understand that it's all about sustainable farming, but how about for those out there who like having flowers in their apartment? Have you tried planting flowers in one-kind block? What's your experience?
Flowers, that's my experience. Flowers can grow.
What kind of flowers have you planted?
Orchids, we've had some. I think my grandmother put rose in it as well, and chrysanthemum. And some of these plants, like our mint, actually flowers. So you can grow flowers.
So when did the very first concept of the one-kind block be produced? I presume you produced small quantities of it. What was your experience when that first prototype came out? Can you tell us your experience?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, you've created a small number of these prototypes, right? I assume. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you feel as an inventor when the first prototype came out, and what were the first few responses? Let's say your grandmother, when you showed her this very first prototype, what was her response?
Okay. So we've had multiple prototypes since 2016. The first was just a PVC plastic pipe with holes drilled in it, and these cups as well with sponges, right? And you just put them in the holes and they grow. Each prototype could have been made better than the last. So with each prototype, we added more things. Like, for example, this is the latest prototype. We've created a fastening system where if you had, for example, your zip tie, it could fit in effortlessly and come out. So it's basically foolproof. You can attach it to any sort of window grill or balcony, and then you put the zip tie
that's how
around
you
it.
attach it.
Yeah. Okay. So from the side, it would look like this, and there's more blocks, obviously.
So it can withstand the weight, right?
Yeah.
How heavy is the average one-kind block? Yeah.
3 together is 1.2 kg. So one of this would be 0.4 kilograms. With water and plants might go up to about 1.3 kg.
Sounds like a very easy way to have a sustainable garden on your balcony ledge.
Yeah.
What are some interesting places that have that you've put some one-kind blocks in, other than your grandmother's house and your own house? Like, is there anywhere else in Singapore that we can see the one-kind block in action?
Not until the project gets funded and people get the one-kind block. But we've tried growing in HDB flats, in some of my friends' apartments, just to see whether the concept would work. And it does. You need to put it in a place where there's about 2 to 3 hours of sun, maybe 4 hours, because the Singapore sun is very strong. So we have to test that out in HDB blocks and etc.
Okay, that sounds good. Are there any options to add trace elements into the solution to make it more wholesome?
Yeah, I mean, just add trace elements, then go to your nursery and get trace elements.
Okay, well, that's your answer there. It sounds like an avid gardener. I don't really understand what are trace elements. Actually, Dylan, what's trace elements?
They are like the extra, so besides NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, they are the other general elements that are in soil. And if there isn't a few of them in the soil, for example, then your leaves turn yellow, or the leaves start to wilt, or the plant becomes droopy.
Wow, that's a very interesting tidbit that I never knew about. So that's something to add to the library. Where where do you see yourself with in the next 10 years? Like, how do you see how is there any dream you have for One Kind Block? I know you don't want to make big decisions at 17, but just
Yeah.
some ideas. Like what have you considered?
Well, with the One Kind Block, hopefully it gets successfully funded, it gets put out. I think if there is a future idea to make cities fertile, I'll be making that and developing that in the future. If not, then I will find more problems to solve.
Who would you like to reach out to in Singapore to help to support this movement? Do you have a dream list of people you want to talk to?
In Singapore, I don't know who could help, but I think just give it to all the ministers. If all the ministers use it, I'm sure, yeah, Singaporeans would take up urban farming.
So if you met the Prime Minister tomorrow during an event, what would you tell him about One Kind Block?
I'll tell him that government schemes are nice. They're top down, and like government rooftop farming by NEA and parks, works. But again, that's top down. The One Kind Block is from the bottom up, right? From the people up. So it will create a natural culture of urban farming and being food independent. And then I would give him one.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think you have to. Are you going to give him one with the plants inside or without?
Probably with the plants inside.
With the Singapore national flag as well. I think that would be a great idea in time for
Singapore
National Day.
stickers. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually want to take the time now to show what the screen looks like when you go into the Kickstarter page to the audience who's inside here. So I'm just going to go into the website now, and I will be sharing the screen. So hang on a second. Okay, all of you, I hope you can see the screen. Dylan, can you see it?
Yep.
Great. So that's Dylan there. When did you do this video, Dylan?
When I got back from Finland in just as mid-March. And then this was before circuit breaker. So yeah, we shot it and we edited it.
Wow, very nice. So here we can see some visuals. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, my mom is, I don't know what she's doing. She's beating someone up.
Preparing your lunch?
She doesn't cook.
Well, we know a little tidbit about Dylan's mom today. Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're looking to now is the whole campaign story. And like, if you want to find out in detail about the One Kind Block, you can go to kickstarter.com, look at One Kind Block like this, and in the campaign you can see like our prototyping, the different prototypes that we had to go through to eventually arrive at this almost finished prototype, and the people that we wanted to collaborate with in the end. So it's probably a good thing to mention, One Kind Block will work with Happy People Helping Hands. And basically they are a group which provides aid to the cardboard collecting elderly in Singapore. So if you don't know, 50 kilograms of cardboard is equivalent to $2. Okay, and if we give them seeds to grow, and they grow saplings after like 2 or 3 weeks, and we buy those seeds back from them, they make what, $6, $10, which is 5 days work of collecting cardboard. Right. So in the end, when our project gets funded, we want to give those cardboard collecting elderly their own one-kind blocks, not just so they can grow their own food, but also because they can grow plants to sell.
So we're sharing, is this the image here of you helping the elderly with your community farm? Is that
Yeah.
the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually went to meet the elderly, and we gave them seeds to grow and bought it back from them. And that's unfortunately been stopped by the circuit breaker.
How did the elderly first respond to it when you showed them this?
Oh, terribly, because I think they're quite set in their ways of collecting cardboard. I think the second time we went over and we gave them, and the money started coming out, then they started getting more interested, and more of them then wanted to grow stuff.
What would the journey like for a typical elderly grandma who used to collect cardboard to growing it in one-kind block? Can you describe what her daily life would be like instead of collecting cardboard if she were to do this? Just run us through.
Yeah, collecting cardboard, you have to, they're on the streets, pushing their cart, which is again 50 kilograms, 100 kilograms, just for $2 or $4. And in the hot sun, and I think of my grandma, I wouldn't want her doing that.
Yeah.
And farming is also good for the mind. It's shown in research by NParks also that it reduces stress in adults and lowers depression in the elderly. And it's mindfulness, it's wellness as well, because you're taking care and you're looking after something.
Yeah. And if she instead, when she spends the day looking after and growing this, what could her income be like?
So yeah, one sapling goes for about $2 right now. For now, we are buying the saplings from them after a couple of weeks of them growing it. But eventually we want to create an ecosystem so they can, maybe we can buy back from them, but we want people to go there and support the elderly and buy their seedlings as well.
So they would kind of help to grow the initial seed to a small sapling, and then we can put them into our own one-kind blocks. So it does save people some time in growing it initially. What do you do with the saplings right now when you purchase them pre-COVID?
Oh, we put them in our garden, so they're all growing. Yeah.
How many saplings have you purchased so far? I mean, how many has been done by the elders?
Oh, we didn't count. more than 14 at least.
Yes, great. Well, it's certainly a new way, and we do hope that they have a different way of income other than just collecting cardboard. I think that's a really good initiative. Well, right now we have a question from one of the audience. It's about hanging it indoors, or you need a rooftop garden.
About hanging, sorry, I can't see the question.
Okay, can it be hung indoors, or do I need a balcony and a rooftop garden?
Yeah, it can be hung indoors. The back of it is like this. So I showed it just now, but if you have a zip tie, you just thread it through. Okay, and then you maybe put another one, right? And then you just attach it to your railing, your window grill, or your balcony. Failing which, you can actually use wall hooks that support 5 kg. And you can hang 3 of the blocks on your wall. So you don't need.
So I don't need to drill. No need to drill any holes into the balcony. I can just hang it up.
Or the wall. You don't need to. You can drill a nail in and then hang this from the nail.
Okay. Wow, that sounds like a really cool idea. Well, if the audience has any other questions, you can quickly send in your last few questions. We'd like to ask you, with what happens at the turn of the Kickstarter campaign? What kicks into place once you collected this amount of money? What's going to be the process, and how soon can I get a block?
So we estimate to get this produced and sent out in September. And because there are so many different, my mom is here, because there are so many different variations of the rewards that we have. The different people who ordered the different size rewards would get what they ordered. So for example, the $50 reward gets you 1 set of the one-kind block, and it goes up from there. You get more sets. You get to help out in the Happy People Helping Hands movement. There are different rewards to make offices fertile, to make cities fertile, you know, that kind of stuff. And yeah, so we will then get to production once everything is funded, and then have it shipped out in September.
Great, great. So we hope we can hit the Kickstarter targets so that we can get it all
hopefully.
into production. Yes,
Yeah.
very good. Well, your parents must be very proud of you and what you've achieved. Would you like to introduce them on screen or say hi?
Okay, I can. Mom, do you want to come in and say hi and tell them how good a son I am?
Need to be.
Do you want to?
Oh, hello, welcome. Hi.
I'm Arlette. Hi.
Hi, I'm Janice, and we are here on the webinar today to hear all about your son, Dylan.
All about.
You know, you must be so proud of your son. How do you feel as a mom with a son that's on this massive Kickstarter campaign and his dream about creating one-kind block?
I think because we see him, well, before he went to Finland, we see him every day. So we're kind of like immune to all, you know, the ideas that he comes up with, you know, yeah. So it's refreshing because I think when we, you know, brought up the kids and they were much younger, you know, they kind of idealized this this mentality of solving problems. I think what we wanted was to encourage them to, you know, pursue their interests. That's the most important thing. I didn't think I would actually want to be constantly nagging them to do things that they don't want to do.
Yeah, we didn't want that either.
So it was
Like
always the
homework?
incentive. Yeah, the incentive was always, can you please do all the homework and all the stuff that needs to be done in school, so that we don't have to spend too much time outside of school. Your free time, we don't have to spend it, you know, sending you to tuition centers,
remedial
and
classes,
like that, you know, and that would like actually make them a little bit more miserable, right? Because it would leave them, you know, the incentive was to have more playtime.
Yeah, we wouldn't have time to do stuff like this,
Yeah.
which
And
in some ways is more valuable than, in many ways is more valuable than going for tuition.
so I think we are more for the soft skills, and you know, to, as a parent, you want children to be able to find a passion or find themselves as early as possible. I think once they do that, you know, the whatever they are passionate about will just take them on their own journey. And, you know, of course, it's the moral part of it as well, you know, to be able to help people and solve problems. That would be ideal, you know. Yeah. It's not all self-serving.
Yes, that's great. I mean, you don't sound like a typical parent obsessed with grades of your kids.
Oh, hey, the other one is here.
Yeah, we come out like ants.
Hello.
What's the other one?
And now we're going to meet Dylan. Can you? Hello, I'm Janice. Can you introduce yourself and tell us all about your proud son?
I'm Kelvin. I think he's my son. We're not sure. We're doing DNA tests to make sure he's our son. So I'm Dylan and Ava's father, married to my wife, whom you just spoke to. And we're very sure she gave birth to him. That's for sure. I was there. We saw it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I know you didn't see it. Your eyes were closed.
Yeah, are you wondering, Dylan?
Yeah.
So, what is there any question you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, growing up in Singapore, many parents are concerned with grades of their children, sending them to tuition schools, enrichment schools. But I mean, most people at the age of 12, their greatest achievement might be their PSLE scores. But Dylan created a product that's potentially changing the world. Like, you know, what happened in this journey and his upbringing, or what you've done? You know, what do you think you did differently from other parents in Singapore?
I don't think we're all parents, and I was brought up by my parents who are civil servants, teacher, and a legal clerk. We grew up in Bedok South, a 4-bedroom HDB flat. Okay, I went to Teluk Kurau West Primary School. I went to Tanjung Katong Technical Secondary School. I did badly my O-levels. I went to private college and then went to the army, and then I started doing odd jobs, from fast food to lifeguard to telemarketer, before stumbling into advertising and somehow making a career out of it. Okay?
Yep.
So that's my background. I don't think because of that I wanted him or Ava to have that background. I think all parents would, like me, parent based on how we were brought up. So I initially parented Dylan and Ava the way my father brought me up, which was a very strict, authoritarian, Asian, I know best, you're a young person, you don't know anything. And I think there was a period where you suddenly realize, and maybe I was fortunate then when I was in the advertising agency working at a level where I can see where businesses are going. And you go, realization was that we tend to take our past and project it onto our kids and tell them that's their future. Because what worked for me in the past, we think that's the formula that will work for them. So typically then getting the degree and then getting a job. What is the Singapore dream? Let's define what the Singapore dream is, right? The model Singapore dream was get good O-levels, get good O-levels, get good A-levels, go into university. Please don't do arts. Do something like engineering where you can make a lot of money, or, you know,
Doctor, lawyer,
engineer, accountant. Arts only if you're really bo pian. And then go find a mate of the same or equal or better social, economic, academic background. Go and get a job, get married by HDB, work hard, upgrade to EC, work harder, upgrade into condo, upgrade your car from Toyota into a Continental brand, hopefully get a second property, live off the rent, all right, for your retirement, and then bring up your children. Repeat the same process. Now, I think that works only when the future is predictable and we're in the industrial age. So what I saw coming was the exponential change and the exponential age that we're going into, where this formula no longer kind of works. And hence we took the route of preparing them for this day and age that is coming, where life skills are more important. The human skills, because a lot of the academic stuff that we are learning, they are learning by heart, by memory, by rote. The machines can do better.
Yes.
Right? And given the choice as an employer, I'll get the machines. Why would I get a human being? Because the human being, managing the human being is full of trouble. If Uber and Grab can automate the cars, they will automate the cars. The drivers are the ones that are giving them issues. So his future value is actually in the human life skills of creativity, can present in front of 2,000 people, can come up with ideas, be resilient, constantly curious, constantly looking for problems to solve, ask why not. You know, those are the life skills. And if our current education system does that, then fine, I'm all for it, right? But our current education system doesn't do that because
it's for the industrial age.
It's still designed for the industrial age. It's very important that he follows the model working to come up with the model answer, and then be process oriented. Don't ask many questions in class because you're disruptive, right? So that's preparing you for the industrial age where actually the jobs will be taken over by machines. And the other thing about exponential change is I want people to understand we take our past to project onto the future. Now let's ask parents this question, which is, number one, we all know that parents want the best for their children. Okay, I too. I'm not being any different from any parent. The question to ask is actually, do we think their future is going to be the same as ours. If you think yes, then don't change a thing. The current system works.
Yeah.
But if you think his future is going to be very different from mine, then why are we using this current system to prepare them for this unknown future? That's the question to ask. And then how you answer it then depends on how you want to approach and deal with that answer. So with him, and Ava, I'm just thinking in 30 years' time, medical technology will advance to such a stage where right now I'm in the 83.1 life expectancy group in Singapore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 years' time, is it linear and he will be 85.7? No. In 30 years' time, stem cell, they can recreate your heart and your liver and start. Suddenly, it will be an exponential jump in life expectancy, 130, 120.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the current model still work until start working at 30 years old and then work until you're 100 and then retire?
And then get married,
and then
for,
get married for
80
100
years.
Okay.
Yeah, seniors
So you have
matchmaking,
to,
we thought of that.
yes, correct. So you have to ask these questions, right? The whole notion of getting a degree and then getting a career for the rest of your life will not work because it will be multiple disruptions of his career because they will go obsolete. Entire industries will just go obsolete, right? If you don't believe me, look at the virus. The virus has catalyzed this exponential change. If I were to tell you last year, there's a way when 2 months, I would decimate the airline industry, the hotel industry, MICE, conventions, and exhibitions, all that will just in 2 months kill off. You'd be going like, are you talking about war? Or that's the only thing we can think of. So you can imagine how much of this has suddenly changed and how much of, I don't think it will go back to life as usual again, no? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think COVID-19 is a very timely to remind everybody about the unpredictability and the need for change. If you look at all the jobs that are going to be lost,
Yes.
how are people going to reinvent themselves?
Right.
Yeah.
If you're 40 years old now, if you're 40 years old now and you're thinking 65 I retire, that's 25 years. Or if you're 50, you're thinking 15 more years, I just write it out. That no longer applies. The job that you're in, if you're laid off, will be harder to get back in the same industry because they're looking at you as like, oh, you're old, you haven't picked up new skills, I'm going to pay you less, right? Secondly, maybe that job doesn't exist anymore and actually what you need to do is now, I have to go back and relearn new things. But we've always been conditioned that the older you get, you don't need to learn new things because you're wise already.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And actually a life skill is for him to be a student throughout his entire life. That is what will future-proof him.
Yes,
right?
Indeed. I think that's a very good summary of where we should think about our future and what are the roles we're doing today and how they all disappearing tomorrow. I mean, if you have those life skills of problem thinking and entrepreneurship and being able to do new things and think of new solutions, I think you will always be able to create new ideas and things to do. I mean, like from what Dylan said earlier about One Kind Block, there might be competitors that come along the way. Your edge is how do you keep reinventing and creating new stuff and new additions. People can copy. Yes, it is flattery, but yeah, we want to see you making the waves and driving that change. So we've come close to the end of the webinar, but I'd like to give the last 2 minutes to Dylan to share with the audience what are some things you want to end this webinar with and to share with us your dreams for the future.
How should I end it?
However you want to end it.
Anyway,
Just
you like it.
end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, One Kind Block is Singapore's story to solve a global problem. And it's a growing problem and there's a growing number of people who see the need to farm, and hopefully the One Kind Block can be the thing that encourages that culture and creates that culture of urban farming, and hopefully it creates an urban farming community in the process as well.
Fantastic. Very, very well said. So thank you very much today to Dylan, Dylan's father and mother and your whole family, and your grandma whom we haven't met before, but we would love to meet her one day. This is Dylan So from One Kind Block, a 17-year-old with a dream to make cities fertile. He hopes to create Singapore's story that will solve the world's problem. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Calvin. See
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.